All right, let's
All
check
right,
the
let's
sound.
sound.
Okay, I think sound is working. All right, looks like we're back, and things are looking better. Unstable connection. Come on. What is going on tonight? Well, try to speed test. My internet's working as fast as it normally is. Welcome everybody to HeroQuest fans. Oh, here we go. Excellent connection. Okay, having some technical issues tonight. So anyway, we're doing some game book reading, and we're not trying to step on anybody's toes. I'm trying to do everything by the book, protect everybody's rights. Everything's above board, legit. So anyway, we're just having a good time here. My thoughts on this Star Wars Choose Your Own Adventure book. Jury's still out. I mean, I think it's for younger kids. It's more of just like, I want to play around inside the movie. So I think this would probably be better if they made like an expanded universe type Choose Your Own Adventure. Where they could just play more fast and loose with the characters and the universe and not have to feel like tied to the movie. But I think we'll give it another run, see how it goes. Yeah. Hey, Strange Bus. Yeah, welcome to everybody in the chat. Sorry for the issues tonight. I guess that's another good thing about Fridays. We can hammer out all the technical problems. So on Saturday, when we're trying to do our HeroQuest game live, everything's fine. Everything's great. So let me just take a quick look here at what we've got going. Ad is starting soon. I think we're going to try to snooze that ad because I'm not about the ads tonight. Let's see, ad manager. I think I can just disable them. Thanks to everybody, by the way. We've met a lot of our goals here. I'm just really pleased and impressed how things have gone as far as our growth. Even though we're not like the biggest channel, but we basically started from nothing not long ago. Thanks to all of you. What is going on with this here? Sorry. Still checking a few things. Okay, that's too bright. Alright, that's a little better. Alright, so we've got Valentina Carez and Elveiler, Strange Bus, and a few other people. And we should be doing a lot better because we have 0 dropped frames. We've got excellent connection. It should be stable. So it looks like I just needed to reboot everything. Okay, so let's get started. So Choose Your Own Adventure, Star Wars: A New Hope. And again, as always, if you are watching us on Twitch, feel free to interact with us in the chat. Type your decision. You can use 1 gold coin to make a decision, influence our choices when we come to a choice in the game. Hey, Elveiler, long time no see. Welcome back. Yeah, I know I was gone for quite a while as well, so it's great to have you. So anyway, we're just doing some Choose Your Own Adventure stuff. So let's kind of pick up where we left off. You live on your planet. You live on your parents' moisture farm on the planet Tatooine, a dust bowl covered with wind-driven sands and rolling dunes. You hear the exciting stories of the Empire and the Rebellion, and you dream that soon you'll get off Tatooine, get off this rock. As your best friend, Luke Skywalker, often says, if there's a bright center to the universe, Tatooine is the planet it's farthest from. Luke also wants to get off Tatooine to do what so many of your friends have done. Attend the Imperial Space Academy, become a pilot. Late one night, you're lying in bed thinking about becoming a fighter pilot. Though you know you should be thinking about the Imperial Navy, your thoughts are more and more of the rebels. There's something cool about the rebels. Everyone knows the Emperor's evil. Suddenly you hear a whisper outside your window. Hey! It's Luke. He lives with his Uncle Owen and his Aunt Beru, who have their own moisture farm not far away. Turn to page 12. Hi, Luke. You answer. Hi, Luke. You answer quietly. What brings you here this late? If your uncle finds out you left the farm, he'll be pretty mad. I'll be in big trouble if I don't get our new droid back, Luke mutters. What do you mean? You ask. What happened with the new droid? And which one? That gold protocol droid C-3PO? No, the little R2 unit, Luke explains. It was the strangest thing. Uncle Owen had me clean them up and I triggered a holo recording. That little droid just kept repeating part of the holo vid over and over. What was it? You ask. Who was it? More like it, Luke answers. This girl, the prettiest girl I've ever seen, with a message for someone named Obi-Wan Kenobi. I couldn't get the whole message to play. Did you try taking off the restraining bolt? You ask. Sometimes those bolts can botch other droid functions. I did that, but that made the droid even more excited, and then the message disappeared completely, Luke says. Should have asked him if he turned it off and turned it back on again. That's what I would have done. Usually that's what works. I'm going to be in so much trouble, Luke continues. After dinner, I want to check on them, and R2 had run away. Run away? You ask in surprise. How far can an R2 unit get on the sand? Shh! Far enough, obviously, Luke replies, frustrated. So do you think this Obi-Wan is related to that crazy old hermit Ben Kenobi? You ask. Luke shrugs. I asked Uncle Owen about him. He said that Obi-Wan Kenobi lived here for a long time ago, but he's dead now. Died about the same time as my father. Anyway, listen, I came over here to ask if you'd come with me tomorrow. I'm taking C-3PO to look for R2, and I could use an extra pair of eyes. Sure, buddy, you say. All you have to do is ask. The next morning, you meet Luke bright and early. You'll probably get in trouble for missing breakfast, but Luke needs your help. He's going to get in much bigger trouble if he doesn't bring R2-D2 back to the farm. I'll say. Alright, turn to page 48. The prettiest girl, yeah. 48. You set off across the desert in Luke's land speeder with C-3PO at the controls. So it's Luke's land speeder? I was thinking it was Uncle Owen's, so he's doing pretty well for himself. He has his own land speeder. You and Luke search the horizon with handheld scanners, trying to find some trace of R2. I can't believe you're letting a droid pilot your speeder, you say. C-3PO seems upset. I'll have you know that piloting ground effect vehicles like Master Luke's land speeder is one of the secondary functions for which I have been programmed, he sniffs. In addition, it leaves Master Luke free to scan for some sign of R2. You look over and see that Luke is smiling. I forgot to mention that C-3PO is a bit sensitive, he says. Land speeder whips over the wasteland, just a few feet above the sand. For nearly an hour, you don't see anything. I guess really they should be shouting because they're blasting through the air. I guess the thing does have a windscreen, but it's like being on a top-down or a convertible. Okay. No sign of the tiny scavengers called Jawas who sold droids to Luke's uncle, or even of the Sand People called Tusken Raiders, who savagely attack, rob, and sometimes even kill anyone coming into their territory. There's nothing here, you say, hoping Luke will turn around. You've been gone too long, and your parents are likely to be pretty angry. Just a couple of kids. Try not to get in trouble. There, Luke shouts. You look up to see R2-D2 trundling along the hard-packed desert sand. When you catch up with the droid, Luke is in a rush to take it back to the farm. But R2 beeps and whistles, and C-3PO translates. Apparently, he needs to see Obi-Wan Kenobi. As Luke tries to turn the little droid around, R2's whistles suddenly get louder and frantic. What's that he's saying, C-3PO, you ask. Oh dear, C-3PO says fearfully. R2 says there are several creatures of an unknown type approaching from the southeast. Sand people, Luke cries. Or worse. Let's take a look. We're doomed, C-3PO wails. Shouldn't we find somewhere to hide instead? Luke agrees with C-3PO, and you help him hide the two droids behind some rocky outcroppings. You and Luke climb to the top of a small hill. With scanners, you search for signs of the Sand People. You see a pair of banthas, the huge hairy creatures they ride, but no Sand People. Continue your search, page 107. See, still no choices yet. Well, yeah, it is a two-seater Strange Bus. In the movie, I want to say, like, if you freeze frame it, because you barely see it, it's like Luke and C-3PO were in the front, and then R2-D2 is just like lashed to the back. So I guess there must be a rumble seat or something. Somebody's in the sidecar. Then you hear screams as a Tusken Raider jumps up right in front of you. I'm not going to do the sound effects. Just feel free if you're at home, make the sound effects. You shout in alarm and dive out of the way as it attacks you with a club. Luke also jumps clear, but now there are more of them, and realize they could easily kill you both. You see a hole in their swarm. For a moment, you wonder if you should run. All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, here is our first choice. You can, and if you're listening to us live on Twitch, make your choice in the chat. Option 1, run. Option 2, stay and fight. So vote now with your gold coins in the Twitch chat. Option 1, run. Option 2, stay and fight. Okay, so we got to vote for 2 and we got to vote for 1. Ah. So now we got tiebreaker. Okay, Gareth votes for 1. So we got 2 votes for 1 to run. Anybody else? Give you a few minutes here, a few moments more. Here, I should be showing you my other books. Looks like option 1 is winning so far. Okay, I'm going to give you 10 more seconds if anybody else wants to make another choice. Option 1, run. Option 2, fight. All right, looks like we're going to run. All right, we're running away. Bravely running away. Luke, I'm heading out of here, you shout. I'll go get help. Luke calls for you to wait. But you'll have a better chance if you stick together. But you don't listen. As you run away, you can hear the savage screams of the Sand People as they knock your best friend to the ground. Still, you convince yourself that running for help is the only way either of you will live. You dodge one of the Tusken Raiders who comes after you, and you reach the edge of the hill where you quickly scramble down. At the bottom, you risk a quick glance behind you. The Sand People have stopped chasing you and are rummaging through Luke's land speeder, tossing gear out onto the sand. Quickly, you look around. You realize that to escape now, you'll have to take one of their banthas. As you run towards the banthas, a Tusken Raider suddenly appears from behind the creatures, screaming at you as it lifts a club to finish you off. You should have known they would never leave their animals unguarded. Okay, let's go to 63. Yeah, I was just mentioning to Gareth, I'm going to be doing some painting tonight, some miniature painting, but it won't be on camera. I got to go babysit my niece, and I got some stuff we're going to paint. In the distance, you hear a terrifying roar that frightens even the Tusken Raider, but it doesn't stop your attacker from hitting you with his club. You fall to the sand. The Raider continues to hit you. A few seconds later, the Sand People are frightened off by some kind of bizarre creature approaching. Up on the ridge, Luke catches his breath, bruised and battered from the fight, but too weak to run from the noise. He'll be all right. But it's too late for you. You pass out on the desert floor, unconscious and fatally wounded. The end. Oh, man. So running was the wrong option. Okay, so that's our first death. Anybody want to try? Should we try again? Let's back up here. Okay, so let's say we're back in the spot where the Tusken Raiders first are attacking. And they're dead. Yes. Okay, so apparently running was the wrong choice. So if we stay and fight, actually that's the choice that I picked the first time, just randomly. Didn't even know that was the right one. Because there's 2 of us. I mean, in the movie, Luke gets his, butt handed to him easily. But when there's 2 of us, it's like, well, maybe we could make it. All right, let's try the alternate option. Stay and fight. That's right. Okay, take 2. You decide to stay and fight. Even though you know your situation is hopeless, you can't abandon your best friend. Both of you are knocked down, and you can hear Luke grunt in pain as one of the Tusken Raiders clubs you in the shoulder, and then on the head. As you're about to black out, you hear a horrible roar, like the hunting cry of a crate dragon. The noise scares the sand people away, and just in time, too. Another few blows, and you and Luke might have been killed. You sit up groggy and stare at the hooded figure coming toward you. The figure pulls back its hood. You recognize the bearded, white-haired old man immediately. Ben Kenobi! You cry. And hello to you, too, Ben replies. Is that young Luke Skywalker with you? You shake Luke back to consciousness. He's just as surprised to see Ben as you are. Sure are lucky you came along, you tell Ben. The Junland wastes are not to be traveled lightly, Ben says. What brings you two out this far? Before you answer, turn to page 83. Okay. Power of time travel. That's right. It's the world between the worlds, right? Isn't that canon in some cartoon or something? Okay. R2 beeps and whistles from his hiding place, then rolls across the hard-packed sand toward old Ben. This little droid here, Luke says, pointing to R2. I think he's searching for his former master. I've never seen such loyalty in a droid before. There's no stopping him. He claims to have been the property of someone called Obi-Wan Kenobi. Is that a relative of yours? Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ben exclaims. Well, that's a name I've not heard in a long time. Long time. Then you know him? You ask. Know him? I should think so. He's me, Ben says happily. Then R2 belongs to you? Luke asks Ben. I don't seem to ever recall owning a droid, Ben replies. Very interesting. We really ought to get inside before the sand people come back. They're easily startled, but they won't be away for too long. And they'll be back in greater numbers. It's like, the book is slightly different than the movie, but I find myself falling into the actual lines. Okay, Ben leads you to his small home. It's simple, but shelter and basic comfort are all I require, he explains. Ben walks to a corner where he opens a small wooden chest and retrieves a metal cylinder that looks like a handle with buttons. I was once a Jedi Knight, Ben says. You're a Jedi? You and Luke exclaim together. Yes, Ben continues. Long time ago, when the Jedi were the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy, I served alongside your father, Luke. My father wasn't a Jedi, Luke says. He was a navigator on a spice freighter. That's what your uncle wants you to know. But, Ben explains, the life of a Jedi is dangerous, and your uncle didn't want that for you. But your father was a cunning warrior and the best star pilot in the galaxy. He would have wanted you to have this. Ben holds the cylinder to Luke. Luke presses a button, and a long beam of light flashes, extending out about a meter. It is a lightsaber, the weapon of a Jedi, Ben says. Yeah! I keep wanting to go to the next page. It's like, yahoo! But no. The way the pages are labeled, it's kind of easy to miss where you're supposed to go. Okay. Although it seems appropriate. Like, you turn it on, it's like, yes! Okay, page 13. Jedi, something called the Empire. See, when you're reading this, you can't really assume anything. You can't assume necessarily that the movies are correct. You can't necessarily assume the expanded universe or the Disney stuff. It's a self-contained story. So, yeah. Ben then explains about the Force, the energy field that connects all living things and from which Jedi Knights get their power. But the Force, he explains, has a dark side, to which some Jedi, like his former student Darth Vader, have fallen prey. Suddenly, R2 begins to beep urgently. Go on, R2, you say. Show us this urgent message. General Kenobi, begins the hologram of a beautiful girl. Years ago, you served my father in the Clone Wars. Now we beg you to help us in our struggle against the Empire. I have placed information vital to the security of the Rebellion into the memory systems of this R2 unit. You must see this droid safely to my father in Alderaan. Please help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Who is she? Luke asks, and you can see that he is intrigued by the girl. She is Princess Leia Organa of the Royal House of the planet Alderaan, Ben explains. Officially, she is an Imperial Senator, but secretly she is a leader of the Rebel Alliance. Princess, very impressive. Disco Force side. Alright. Now then, Luke, Ben continues, you and your young friend here, must learn the ways of the Force if you're to accompany me to Alderaan. Both of you stare at Ben in shock. You have responsibilities to your family, and Luke's Uncle Owen must be pretty angry. Would be pretty angry if Luke just up and left the planet. On the other hand, you say to Luke, I've been looking for some adventure, and my parents have plenty of help on the farm. I bet they'd be proud of me for helping the rebellion. Good for you, Luke says, but not me. I'd like to help you, Ben, but I've been gone so long already. I'll be in big trouble when I get home. I could take you both as far as Anchorhead, and you can get a transport to Mos Eisley Spaceport from there. Together, you, Luke, Ben, and the droids leave Ben's home and climb into Landspeeder for the trip to Anchorhead. Well, see, there you've got 3 of you plus the 2 droids, so they can pack them all in, apparently. We got 2 sidecars. Alright, page 4. Suddenly you spot smoke on the horizon. Luke pilots the Landspeeder in that direction. It's a huge Jawa sandcrawler, and it's on fire. It has been attacked, and all the Jawas have been killed. At first it seems as though the Sand People have done it. But on investigation you discover clues that point to the Imperial soldiers Ben says are called Stormtroopers. The Stormtroopers probably destroyed the Sandcrawler because they were looking for R2 and C-3PO. You sense great danger. Oh no, Luke exclaims. They must know by now that Jawas sold the droids to Uncle Owen. That would lead them back home. Luke turns and runs to the Landspeeder. You have only a moment to decide whether to go with him or to stay with Ben and the droids. Okay, last time I said, let's see, was it go with Luke? And I think we ended up, it got cut off at the end of the stream. So spoilerific spoilers. What happened was, he basically, okay, so as you know in the movie, he finds his uncle Owen and Aunt Beru are dead, place is burned down. He vows revenge on the Empire, goes back to Ben. But you decide, you're like, no, no way. Like, my family's gonna get killed too. I'm out. So you're with your friend in his moment of grief, but then you're like, done. Forget about it. You just go back and live the rest of your life, just not even knowing what happened. So I think this time we're gonna go with Jacer's choice, which was to instead of going with Luke, stay with Ben. I know it seems counterintuitive. He's like, do you do the same thing that happens in the movie, or do you try to do something different? Okay. So you realize that getting R2-D2 to Alderaan is the top priority. You stay with Ben as Luke jumps in the Landspeeder and rushes back to the farm alone. While he is gone, you help Ben make a funeral fire for the Jawas. When Luke returns, he's filled with rage and terrible grief. The stormtroopers have destroyed the farm and killed his aunt and uncle. There was nothing you could have done, Luke, you say. Indeed, Ben agrees. If you had been there, you'd have been killed too, and the droids would now be in the hands of the Empire. I want to come with you to Alderaan, Luke says, to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father. You're interested too. So we'll go to 114. You've never been to Mos Eisley Spaceport before. It has the reputation of being a hangout for the worst criminals in the galaxy. But you all know it's the only place to find a pilot with a ship to take you from Tatooine to Alderaan. Once you arrive, Ben guides everyone to a local cantina, then disappears into the crowd. You sit and have a drink of water with Luke. Yeah, makes sense. It is Tatooine. Soon, Ben joins you at the bar and introduces you to a huge furry Wookiee. Chewbacca is the first mate and co-pilot on a ship that would suit our needs. His captain is over at the table, a man named Han Solo. We'll see if we can buy our passage to Alderaan, Ben explains. Alright, follow Chewbacca. 92. Chewbacca leads you across the bar to a rugged-looking man sitting alone. He wears high black boots, a black vest, and a blaster on his hip. Can I help you, gents? The man asks. Captain Solo, I presume? Ben says. We hear you got a fast ship, you say. I've outrun Imperial starships, if you're worried about speed, Han Solo replies. Falcon's got fast enough for you, kid. Ben and Han talk money and the deal is done. You've got a ship to take you to Alderaan. Suddenly, you find yourself thinking more about the farm and your family. You know your parents will be proud of you when they hear about your adventure. but you're going to miss them. You didn't even have a chance to say goodbye. All right, so we got choice time again. Option 1, make your way back home. Option 2, go with the others. So vote now if you're in Twitch. Use your channel points. Option 1, go back home. Option 2, go with the others. Okay, we got one vote for option 2. All right, I'll give you all a few minutes here to vote. And welcome to anybody joining us here on HeroQuest Fans. We are reading Star Wars A New Hope. Choose your own adventure. Having some fun. Okay, so we got a vote for 2 votes for option 2. Anybody else? Anybody disagree? So we want to go with the others? We're trying to have an adventure here. Oh yeah, and welcome, of course, to everybody in the chat. So we've got, of course, Freelancer Gareth, Hridemar, Ribby00, and Valentina Alvarez, Elviler, and Strange Bus. Pretty good crowd tonight. All right, so it looks like it's pretty much unanimous. Option 2 it is, so let's go on our adventure. 85. You may never have another chance to do something so important. If getting the droids to Alderaan will help the rebellion against the Empire, you've got to go. The rebellion must come first. So you're coming? Luke says hopefully. Wouldn't miss it, you say. After all, if I don't come along, who will keep you out of trouble? You laugh together and you know for certain that you've made the right decision. After selling the land speeder, you go with Luke, Ben, and the droids to the docking bay where the Falcon is waiting. After all Han's bragging, I can't wait to see this great starship of his, you tell Luke as you enter the hangar. Inside, however, the Falcon turns out to be less impressive than you imagined. In fact, it looks like a junk heap. That's it? Luke cries. That's the starship we paid an arm and a leg for transport on? What a piece of junk! Chewbacca roars his disapproval about Luke's comments, but you have to agree with him. What a wreck, you say. Listen, kids, snarls Han angrily. She may not look like much, but she'll get 0.5 past light speed, and she can outrun any Imperial ship. Plus, she's armed to the teeth. You better watch it. Chewie and I are kind of sensitive about people making fun of our ship. I'm sure it happens a lot, you mumble. Han glares at you. Moments later, you board the ship. Han, who is doing a last-minute check on the ship's exterior, is the only one not on board when the blaster fire starts. Han, you cry, as you and Luke rush to the ramp to help him in. Chewbacca roars, and Ben translates, telling you to keep your seats. The Captain Solo will be along in a moment. Oh my, C-3PO says worriedly behind you. I hope we'll be all right. R2-D2 beeps and whistles. Well, yes, of course. Well, yes, of course. I realize Captain Solo is in jeopardy also, but oh, never mind. You insufferable rust bucket. C-3PO huffs. All right. Oh, yeah. Sorry. For anybody that needs a tutorial, thanks for helping out, Ribby. Yeah. So if you're looking at Twitch, it may be a little different if you're looking at like a Twitch app instead of on a PC, but if you go to the chat, it says send a message, and it's like below that there's a little treasure symbol, like a little purple and gold symbol. You click on that, and then you can pick from your choices, and there's option 1, option 2, etc. Okay, Han dashes up the ramp and closes it behind him. Then he runs to the cockpit and drops into the pilot's seat. Imperial troops, I'd imagine, Ben says as calmly as if there weren't any danger at all. Yeah, somebody doesn't want us taking off without clearance, Han replies gruffly. They're in for a rude awakening. To your surprise, the Falcon performs as well as Han bragged. Seconds later, the ship roars up into the sky over Tatooine, and then into the atmosphere of the planet, dodging fire from the ground. In space, you discover 2 giant vessels several thousand times larger than Han Solo's little freighter. Imperial cruisers! Han shouts. You guys are even more popular with the Empire than I thought. To know us is to love us, you joke, but Han isn't in the mood for laughing, and neither is anybody else. The cruisers give chase. Try to elude them. They want our hides and bad, Han says grimly, sorry. Why don't you outrun them? Luke says. I thought you said this thing was fast. Watch your mouth, kid, or you're going to find yourself floating home. Han warns. Chewie, the navigational computer is hit. Hit the hyperdrive. Chewbacca does as he's told, and the Falcon lurches forward. Space bends around the ship, stars whip by faster than the eye can see, and you're in hyperspace, traveling so fast that the huge Imperial cruisers will never catch you. Later, as you travel through hyperspace toward Alderaan, a trip that will take some time, R2 and 3PO play holo games. Han takes the opportunity to make some minor repairs to damage sustained during your escape from Tatooine, which leaves you and Luke to press Ben with more questions about the Force and being a Jedi Knight. We're going to question Ben. I want to know more about the Force, Ben, Luke says. Does it control your actions? Partially, Ben tells him. It also obeys your commands. Mastery of the Force demands calm and patience. I'm going to teach you both how to sense the power that exists in all things, that binds us and connects us to the universe and to each other. And so Ben begins to teach you and Luke how to feel the Force and to use it as an extension of your senses. You train quite a bit, using Luke's lightsaber to deflect energy bolts shot at you from a small hovering ball. You have some success in your training, and you can block some of the shots, but Luke surges ahead immediately. Obviously, he has far more natural talent as a Jedi than you do. Suddenly, Ben cries out in pain and holds a hand to his head. You and Luke reach out to steady him. What is it, Ben? You ask. I felt a great disturbance in the Force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced. I feel that something terrible has happened. What could it be? Strap yourself in, folks, Han calls from the front of the ship. We're going to be dropping out of hyperspace in a minute. We're coming up on Alderaan. A moment later, the ship lurches. What the? Chewie, increase power to deflector shields, Han shouts. What is it? We dropped out of hyperspace right in the middle of some kind of meteor shower, Han replies. Shouldn't be anything like that near Alderaan. That's Ben talking, sorry. Shouldn't be anything like that near Alderaan, Ben says anxiously. Chewbacca roars his agreement. Well, our position is correct, Han snaps, but Alderaan is gone. Alright, so did you hear Han correctly? Alderaan is gone. What do you mean, gone? Luke asks. Where is it? That's what I'm trying to tell you, kid, Han says. Alderaan's been totally blown away. It ain't there. Destroyed by the Empire, Ben whispers. I should have realized when I felt that disturbance earlier. The entire Starfleet couldn't destroy a whole planet, Han says. It'll take 1,000 ships more firepower than I've ever... Han is interrupted by a beeping on the console. The Millennium Falcon is passed by an Imperial TIE fighter. Everyone is confused. It's a short-range ship, and there are no planets close enough for it to have been launched from. Catch it before it can report in about our location, you say. It's headed for that small moon, Luke points. You see the moon in the distance. His voice filled with dread, Ben says, That's no moon. That's a space station. No way. There's just not a lot of choices in this book. I mean, it's mostly... Yeah. You'll just have to catch it right in progress with the ads. Actually, can I pause that? Let me see. Oh, sorry, everybody. Okay, so we're having an ad. Let me just pause for a minute. So I'll just show you some of these other books I've got for you subscribers. So we've got Horrors of the Haunted Museum. This is actually R.L. Stine. Now, people pointed out to me, oh, Goosebumps. Goosebumps is this game book series of like horror novels for like young kids. But R.L. Stine was doing these Twist-a-Plot books back in the day, back in the 80s. 1983. So he had to start way back then. So, I mean, Goosebumps was kind of after my time. But I really enjoyed reading these books back in the day. I'd like going to the local library and just check out just a ton of them. And you can buy these in lots on like eBay and other places. It's just fun to just get a bunch of them. Beat up as all heck. Kids wrote their names in them and stuff, but they're just a lot of fun. So these are Which Way books, Castle No Return. This one, I feel like I've read this one. Some of these look really familiar. There was one that was really creepy where you like learn you have ESP and you're trying to like figure out this mystery. Which Way books, 99 cents. Vampire Spies and Alien Beans. I remember this one from my childhood. This was cool because it's like you go on the set of a movie, or that it's like a Hollywood backlot, but the movies come to life, and so you can be parts of like different stories. There's like spies and vampires, as the name suggests, and of course Siege of the Dragon Riders, Wizards, Warriors, and You. This was a series that we read. A little more role-playing elements. You get to be a wizard or a warrior. And as you saw from last time, you would like flip coins and stuff to try to fight monsters. So it's kind of interesting. But anyway, that should be the end of our ad. We're back to reading some Star Wars here. Yeah, I don't know. I enjoy it just because I'm a Star Wars fan. But as far as a book goes, I mean, this is definitely like a younger reader's one because there just aren't a lot of choices, I feel like. Which, I mean, I think kids like to have more choices, but I guess the amount of time you'll spend with any book varies. All right. Okay, anyway, page 75. What? Han barks. That's even crazier than I thought, old man. Look at the size of that thing. It's way too big to be a space. Chewbacca growls in distress. Han stares out of the cockpit. I have a very bad feeling about this, Luke says. Han, you say. Ben's right. Turn the ship around. Yeah, good idea, Han grumbles. But Han can't turn the ship around. The huge space station has the Falcon in a tractor beam, too powerful to break. Han is forced to shut the power down and wait to be pulled aboard the station. They're not going to get me without a fight, Han declares. You can't win, Ben sadly announces, but there are alternatives to fighting. Chewie unsnaps his harness and stands up, growling something to Han. You're right, Chewie, Han says. It's our only chance. Come on, people, get moving. Continues. We don't want anybody finding us when the Imperials come aboard the ship. Alright, so it's the familiar scenes from the movie. Alright. Han reveals special hidden compartments in the floor of the starship that are usually used for smuggling illegal goods. It's hot and dark in the belly of the Falcon, but you keep still as possible when the Imperial troops board the ship. Believing the ship to be abandoned, the troops leave, and you all climb out of the hidden compartments. That was easy, you say. We fooled them. Great, Han says sarcastically. Now what? Even if I could take off again, we'd never get past that tractor beam. Leave that to me, Ben says. Just then, a scanning crew comes up the ramp of the Falcon to do a more thorough search of the ship. Han and Chewie knock them out, and then call down into the landing bay for the stormtroopers. When the troopers come up, you blast them and take their armor. Dressed as troopers, you, Han, and Luke make your way to the landing bay's command center, blasting through the small crew. A moment later, Ben, Chewie, 3PO, and R2-D2 join you. Okay, so enter the command center. Wow, with all that blasting, it's a wonder the whole station doesn't know we're here, Luke says. Bring 'em on, Han snarls. I'd prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around. Yeah, that's a good idea, you say sarcastically. A few 100,000 Imperial soldiers against 5 blasters and 2 droids. Watch it, kid, Han snaps at you. R2 beeps and whistles, drawing your attention. Excuse me, Master Luke, 3PO says, but R2 has accessed the main computer and it's found the controls to the tractor beam. Great, Luke cries. Let's go. No, Luke, Ben says. I must do this alone. You must see these droids delivered safely to the rebellion, or other systems will suffer the same fate as Alderaan. Your destiny lies along a different path than mine. The Force will be with you. Always. All right. 102. Yeah, it's pretty casual choose your own adventure, really. A lot more reading than choices. Ben leaves. Han shakes his head. Where did you dig up that old fossil? He asks, laughing. Ben is a great man, Luke snaps. Yeah, great. He's getting us into trouble, Han replies. Well, I didn't hear you coming up with any ideas, Captain. You say angrily, joining Luke to defend Ben. Hey, Han shrugs. Anything would be better than hanging around here waiting for stormtroopers to pick us up. R2 begins beeping excitedly, his high-pitched whistles hurting your ears. Master Luke! 3PO says excitedly. R2 says he's found her. This is extraordinary. She's here on the space station, sir. Detention block AA-23. What is that droid talking about? Who's here, you ask. Princess Leia, 3PO replies. She's on the prison level, and I'm afraid she's scheduled to be terminated. Terminated, Luke gasps. Oh no, we gotta help her. We gotta figure out a way to get to her. I'm not going anywhere, Han comments. Look, Han, Luke says, a few minutes ago you were complaining about just sitting around. They're gonna kill her. Better her than me, Han says. Chewie growls in agreement. Han has a point. It's not much better than a suicide mission to try and rescue Princess Leia. But you know she plays a valuable role in the rebellion. The idea of leaving her to die is not very heroic. You're uncertain what to do. All right, choice time. If you think it's too risky to rescue Leia, that's option 1. If you think you should rescue Leia, option 2. So option 1, no rescue. Option 2, rescue. Vote now. All these choices have to do with basically like leaving people behind or going with them, it seems like. All right, so Jacer says option 1, too risky. Or no. Wait, excuse me. No, Jacer voted for option 2. Strange Bus, option 2. So that's 2 votes for rescuing the princess. Anybody else? Anybody disagree? Option 1 ends the book here. That lets you continue. Well, I don't know. I haven't looked ahead. This is not a book that I read when I was a kid, so I haven't memorized. I mean, probably. Like, I feel like if I had to write this book, it would be like this thick, because it would have just tons of like side missions. It's like, oh, what if you tell Ben Kenobi to take a hike? Well, then you don't have a movie, right? It's like, oh, maybe something completely different happens, right? But yeah. They obviously want you to do most of what happens in the movie, but it's weird because sometimes it's like you're doing what Luke or Han Solo would do, and other times you're just staying out of the way so that they can do what they did in the movie. So, all right, I think that's enough time. We're gonna go with option 2. Go for the princess. I'll have to read it again and see what the choices were. Because when I was a kid, I mean, I just wanted to win. That's what I wanted to do. I still played it honestly. I didn't just keep my finger there and like always do it until I won. But if I kept losing, I would just be like, just throw it in the pile and just pick up another book and start reading. But I mean, other people would just play it over and over and just take every possible choice so you can find out what every possible ending was. And I guess eventually you do that, especially if you own the book. All right, so go rescue the princess. She's beautiful, Han, you say, hoping to... Oh, she's beautiful, Han, you say, hoping a pretty girl will get his attention. It doesn't. But Luke has another idea. She's rich, Han. Luke says, a princess? You'll get a huge reward if you save her life. I'll get a huge reward, huh? Han says. Absolutely, Luke says. Han stares at Luke for a moment. Finally declares, I'd better. You will. Leaving the droids in the landing bay command center, you, Luke, and Han, in your stormtrooper uniforms, escort Chewbacca, who pretends to be a prisoner, to the prison level of the station. When the door opens to the block of cells where Princess Leia is being kept, you open fire again, blasting the guards as they fire at you. Blast your way to page 55. Yeah, maybe. Could be. See, that's the thing. They could write it that way. That it's dumb luck. They keep you on track, rather than it's all you have to do is watch the movie and you know exactly what to do. Of course, they could mess with your head and just have it happen completely differently. Okay. You shoot out the cameras in the prison block, and Luke silences the blaring alarm. You are now in the prison control room. From outside the block, an officer is shouting questions over the comm in response to the alarm. Detention level AA-23, what's happening? What's going on down there? The voice on the comm asks anxiously. Han goes to the console. He's nervous, and you worry that he won't know the right thing to say to the officer. If he can only figure out the right procedure or codes to keep the stormtroopers from investigating for a few minutes, you'll be gone. This is detention level AA23. Everything is under control down here. Situation normal. Han says we had a slight weapons malfunction, but everything's perfectly all right now. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you? Bad move. We're sending a squad down. We're sending a squad down to your location right now, the officer says. Negative, Han says, fumbling. We had a reactor leak down here. Gives a few minutes to lock it down. Large leak, very dangerous.
Who is this? What's your operating number?
You see that Luke has run out of patience. You need to keep the stormtroopers away for a few more minutes. Your actions may spell the difference between getting everyone off the station alive or getting everyone killed. Okay, option 1, take over the console. Option 2, let Han blast it. Alright. Okay, vote now, everybody. So, option 1, take over the console. Option 2, let Han blast the console. Obviously, we know what happens in the movie, but... take over the console. Of course, now it's like... in the movie, it's like, okay, so it's like you get in the way and he just like shoots you, or he doesn't do it. Are you gonna like convince them not to show up so maybe you have an easier time? Take over the console. Okay, so that's 1 vote for taking over the console. Anybody else have any votes? Either way, stormtroopers come. Yeah, probably. Maybe. I mean, it could be like Star Wars Infinities, like something absolutely, completely ridiculous happens that is not like a logical like thing that you would think would happen. All right, so everybody vote. Oh, sorry, Jacer. What was your option? Just go ahead and type it out. I trust you. Sorry, it's just a little bit of an alarm. Jacer, just type it out. Option 1 or 2. One. I'm wondering if maybe we're just making choices too quickly. If so, maybe I need to tweak the settings. Okay, so that's a vote for option, 2 votes for option 1. So it looks like option 1 is what we're doing. We're going to take over the console. Anybody else want to vote? Again, if you're on Twitch, please vote. If you're on YouTube, sorry, it's not live. You'll just have to see what we do and slap your forehead and go, why did you guys do that? Okay, looks like option 1, we're going to try to take over the console. Han points his blaster at the communications console, but you step in front of him before he can fire. Han, no, you say. You turn to the console.
I asked for your operating number,
the officer barks. I'm sorry, sir, you bluff. We had a detention officer go a bit stir-crazy down here. He discharged his own weapon, shot the place up a bit, and then started babbling on about radiation.
What kind of a show are you running down there? The officer asked angrily. And what is your operating number?
This is a question you don't want to have to answer. Obviously, this must be how they recognize one another, you think. By number rather than name. But how can you just make up a number? The officer is sure to know it's fake. So let's look for a number. 46. You look around for Luke to help, but he's already run down into the cell block to find Princess Leia. Then your toe hits the unmoving body of one of the detention officers Chewbacca blasted. His cap has been knocked off, and inside on the band is a 9-digit number. Could be nothing. A way to identify laundry, maybe, but it's your only chance.
I'm getting impatient,
the officer barks over the comm. I'm sorry, sir, you say. I was just issuing orders to have this wild man locked up until we can get a psych evaluation down here. If you want to send a pair of stormtroopers to escort him up to the medical psych unit, by all means do so. He's obviously not in his right mind, though. Send your toughest troopers. This guy's dangerous, sir. And my operating number is 527-345009, sir. I'd appreciate it if you would include me in your report of this incident, you say, hoping that by sounding as if you want credit for stopping the rampage of a crazed soldier, you may convince the officer that you're really who you say you are. Let's hope your luck holds out. All right. Just getting to the page here.
Thank you, 009.
The officer says,
You're right about the danger of such a man. Now, how he slipped through Imperial training is beyond me. If you don't have a visit from a psych evaluator in the next hour, please contact me immediately, and I will see to it.
Yes, sir, you snap. Thank you, sir. The officer signs off and you breathe a long sigh of relief. You turn to find Han and Chewie staring at you. Not in my right mind, huh? Han asks. You can say that again, otherwise I never would have come down here with you two farmhands. Tatooine must breed insanity. Chewbacca growls something and pats you on the back. You look at Han for some translation. You did good, kid, Han says reluctantly. I was having a bit of trouble there. You're just impatient, you tell him. Not scared enough of dying. Hey, he says, I'm not the one who dragged us down here to get some girl nobody's ever seen. You smile. Han's right, of course, but you know that Leia has to be saved. I've got your R2 unit, you hear Luke saying as he comes down the corridor with Princess Leia at his side. I'm here with Ben Kenobi. Ben Kenobi? She cries. Where is he? You watch as Han's eyes widen. He's obviously taken by the princess. She's pretty and she's confident, a person used to commanding others. The old man's doing his part to make sure we get out of here, Han says gruffly and turns to Luke. Can we go now, or is there anyone else you want to free? You've got an attitude problem, flyboy, Leia snaps at Han. Better stow that or I'll get you killed. Maybe you'd prefer it back in your cell, Your Highness, Han grumbles. Watch more of their fighting on page 79. Yeah, I can't do a perfect impression of everybody's voice, but it's fun to try. From the looks of my rescue squad, I might be better off, Leia retorts, but you can tell that she's being sarcastic. It occurs to you that Leia and Han are not all that different. As they continue to argue, you and Luke put your stormtrooper helmets back on, and Han follows suit. You put shackles back on Chewie and walk behind the Wookiee and Leia with blasters. You really think this will work? Luke asks doubtfully. You guys don't look a lot like stormtroopers. That's how we got down here, Princess, you say. And it does work. In no time, you're back on the same level as the landing bay. In the corridor, you meet up with Ben, who is sneaking along, somehow undiscovered by the stormtroopers. It must be his command of the Force, you reason. He must somehow be controlling the soldiers so that they don't notice him. Incredible. All right. Gee, this adventure's taken longer than I thought, so we might run up right until the end of the hour. So thanks everybody for joining us here on HeroQuest Fans as we do our gamebook readings. So it's been a lot of fun. So yeah, well, I guess we'll have to pick one of these other ones next time. I really want to try this one again, the Siege of the Dragon Riders. But for now, we're continuing with Star Wars. Okay. Ben and Leia greet each other warmly, and Ben tells her how sorry he is about the fate of Alderaan and her father. Sorry to break this up, folks, Han says quietly, but if we don't get moving, they'll have that tractor beam back on and we'll never get out of here. Quite right, Ben says. Luke uses his communicator to reach 3PO, and the droids are already on the ramp of the Falcon when you enter the landing bay. As they turn to greet you, they suddenly shout in alarm. Stormtroopers are coming up behind you. But you are far enough ahead to escape. You and Luke fire blaster rifles at them to hold them off, and the ship's engines ignite. You scramble on board as the ramp closes, and the ship rockets away. That was pretty easy. When you land at the Rebel base, you plan a Rebel attack against the giant space station Leia calls the Death Star. Using the plans hidden in R2, Rebel engineers find a flaw in the space station. Thanks to Luke's flying and aim, and your and Han's backup, the Death Star is destroyed, and Darth Vader is lost in space in a crippled spacecraft. With the destruction of the Death Star and the return of the Order of the Jedi, the Empire is dealt several blows from which it will never recover. As time passes, Ben Kenobi begins a new Jedi training program. You and Luke are his first students, and a short time later, Leia joins the school as well. The end. All right. So that to me, it feels like a fan watched the movie and said, you know what? If they just made a couple little changes, a couple of smarter decisions, they would have had a much better outcome. But would it be the movie that we all know and love today? Probably not. Then again, it might be because we wouldn't know any different. So there you go. All right. Well, I guess we have a few more minutes, so let's jump in and try Wizards Warriors and you, Siege of the Dragon Riders. So I'll just do a quick recap instead of rereading all the beginning. So the last time we played as the Warrior. You can pick the Warrior or the Wizard. And I think the weapons I chose, I kind of remember which ones I chose. There was going to be this big festival, the Harvest Festival. The villagers, had all their crops. They were blessing the crops. They were going to have a big celebration. And then all of a sudden, these guys just come out of the sky riding dragons and just like torch everything, just destroy all the crops. And they're like, uh-oh, we're going to starve this winter. They have some backup crops in the south, but the King Henry, he sends the wizard and the warrior off to try to remove the threat of the dragon riders from the kingdom. So let's see. We chose the warrior. You're like the champions of the realm, your friends. You are the warrior. You have wisdom as well as might, so you realize that your boasts to the king are mere words. To defeat a huge army of winged dragons and warriors who have tamed them will require more than words. It will require all of your skills as a warrior. So consult the Book of Weapons. You have the Sword of the Golden Lion. Let me just take a quick look again to see what weapons I got. I think I picked weapons according to what I thought might be helpful for fighting dragons. So we got to change the pace. So the Sword of the Golden Lion is an unbreakable sword forged by the same legendary swordsmith who created Excalibur. Also have a battle axe, triple crossbow, longbow with poison-tipped arrows, and the double-pointed mace. So we got 5 weapons. Now that you're suitably armed for your quest, go to page 8. You do not sleep well the night before you and the wizard are to begin your mission. You pace the floor of your chamber, your mind unable to cast away the picture of the dragon riders and their cruel attack. Morning finally arrives, damp and cold. You and the wizard mount your horses in silence. The harvest of the Southlands has begun. As you and your companion ride by the fields, farmers drop their scythes to greet you and wish you well. Their words of hope are a sharp contrast to their frightened faces. When you reach the gate that leads out of the kingdom, the wizard finally breaks the silence. I'll never forget the sight of those monstrous creatures dropping down onto our land from the skies, he says sadly. It is possible that is only the beginning of the horrors we will witness, you say grimly. Your horse edges back towards the gate, reluctant to leave the safety of the kingdom. You realize that you must now come up with a strategy. At least the trail will not be hard to follow, the wizard says, pointing to the wide path of destruction, the deep ruts in the earth, the singed grasslands left by the departing dragons. I'm not so certain we wish to follow the path they have made, you say thoughtfully. But we have no other path to follow, the wizard says, no other guide. There is another, you say. There is Jabara. The wizard pulls his horse up short and turns to you with a wild look in his eyes. Has the sight of those dragon riders dislodged your mind? Why would anyone seek out Jabara who has no cause to? Jabara is a dragon like those who attacked us, an aged dragon, but still deadly. This path may end before leading us to the dragon rider's kingdom, you argue. It is likely that the dragons took to the sky. They will have left no path for us to follow in the sky. But to seek out Jabara in his cave is to... Jabara is the only creature who will tell us from where these dragons and their masters come, you interrupt. Jabara deals with the world of evil. Jabara is evil, the wizard cries, and his evil is old enough to challenge my magic with success. But Jabara is old and tired, you insist. He may not wish to rouse himself to challenge my sword. It is an unnecessary risk to take, the wizard says. I beg you to follow this path. Surely it will lead us to our enemy. You must decide. Do you choose to pay a visit to Jabara, the ancient dragon, or follow the trail the dragon riders have left? All right, vote now. Option 1 is go face Jabara. Option 2, follow the trail of the Dragon Riders. So we got one vote for option 1. Changed your mind already? Okay. So Freelancer says option 2. Jacer says option 1. Okay, so we've got 1 and 1. Anybody want to break the tie? So those of you in Twitch, we're playing Wizards, Warriors, and you Siege of the Dragon Riders. So option 1 is seek out Jabara the Dragon. Option 2 is follow the trail. So we got one vote for each. Who's going to be the tiebreaker? I'll give you a few seconds here to decide. I like these Wizards, Warriors, and You books. See, I mean, you can already tell this is like for older kids. I mean, it's got smaller print. There's many more choices. There's more stuff to keep track of. A little more advanced. But of course, it's based on a completely original property, so you're not hampered by the story. All right, looks like I'm going to be the tiebreaker then. Okay. Oh man, which to do? Let's last time we went to see the dragon, let's follow the trail. All right, I'll agree with you. So let's do that. Option 2. The trail of destruction leads into the forest. The ground is rutted with holes, many of them 6 feet deep. The holes filled with flattened shrubs, parts of trees that have been knocked down, and the burned corpses of animals who could not get away from the giant dragons in time. Then suddenly the trail ends. This must be magic of some sort, you tell the wizard. There's no evidence in the trees that the dragons took flight at this spot. Perhaps the dragon riders have called on their own wizards to cast a spell of invisibility over the trail, the wizard says. I will try to cast a spell to combat their magic. You wait for the wizard to pull his cape around him, as he always does to begin his spell casting, but he does not move. Are you having trouble with the spell, you ask? Spell? He says, staring at you. Would you like me to cast a spell? What sort of spell? You stare back at him. You do not remember what sort of spell. And staring at this strange person in strange clothing, you realize you do not remember who he is. Uh-oh. Can you help me find my way, stranger? He asks. I'm a wayfarer here myself, you answer. I do not know the way. Can you tell me where we are? I do not remember traveling this way, the stranger replies. I cannot tell you from where I came, nor can I recall where I'm headed. You stare at each other, disoriented, frightened. A feeling of dizziness comes over you. Powerful magic has been used to empty your minds. The trail you wish to follow ends here in the forest. It will never lead you to the dragon riders you wish to defeat. To accomplish that mission, you will have to face the ancient Jabara. And to do that, you'll have to close the book and begin again. What? Oh man, and they got me too because they don't have... It's different than Choose Your Own Adventure where they have a big the end, and it's like, if you're a kid and you're tempted to cheat, you're like, not that one. But here, they just kind of lead you along, and it's like all of a sudden, nope, you lost. Okay. All right. Well, I guess, sorry guys, I was wrong. So my tiebreaker was fake. So time travel spell, we'll just go back. I guess Jabara is the way to go. So seek out the dragon. So this is kind of where we were last time. We got this picture here. All right, Jabara, the ancient dragon, has not left his cave in more than 100 years. The wise old creature lives in a hill of dark caves, connected by even darker tunnels. A labyrinth of safety, for few have dared to enter these caves. Even fewer have come out again. You are willing to risk a confrontation with the dragon because you are certain Jabara will be able to guide you to the dragon riders. But to confront Jabara, you must first find him. As you approach the hill of Jabara's labyrinth, you see that there are 4 caves. You must guess which cave will lead you to Jabara. At the entrance of Cave 1, you see what appears to be a large serpent acting as guard. Cave 2 appears to be empty, but of course you cannot know if it is truly empty without entering. Cave 3 also appears to be empty, Cave 4 appears to have some sort of white covering draped over the entranceway. Is this because Jabara is inside? Which cave do you choose to enter? Okay, so we've got 4 options. Choice time for you and Twitch. Cave 1, so that's the Serpent Cave. Option 2 is Cave 2, the empty one. Option 3, empty cave number 3. Option 4 is the white covering cave. So vote now. Just typing them out here just to remind everybody. All right, so we got 4 choices. For those of you who saw the last stream, you'll know that what happened when we picked one of them, but I'm not going to spoil that here in case you weren't here. So yeah, we are reading Siege of the Dragon Riders. This is book 2. I want to say I had book 1, but I don't think The Forest of Twisted Dreams. I'm going to track that one down again. I think these books are actually written out of order. But yeah, R.L. Stine wrote the first one. So again, choose your own adventure, writer. It says I already redeemed. See, there must be some limit. So yeah, if anybody's getting the error that Jacer's getting, feel free to just type your answer. I'm sorry about that. I'll have to see, because I know I put cooldown times for some of that stuff, but for the options it shouldn't matter. Okay, so Jacer says option 4. Anybody disagree? Anybody else want to vote? So option 1 is the first cave with the serpent. Option 2 is the empty cave. Option 3 is the other empty cave. Option 4 is the cave with the white cloth over the entranceway. White cloth-like covering. Is it a timer? Yeah, I think it is. I can check it here because it's just going to keep happening. So let's see. Manage rewards. I mean, because I don't care if people vote a lot. It's just those things. Let's see. Yeah, there's no cooldown timer on that one. Shouldn't be a cooldown on any of the, or limitation on any of them. Unless it's like a general like chat spam stopper, but anyway. Yeah, if it's not letting you redeem, just go ahead and type your response. So Freelancer voted for 3. So you want to do cave number 3, one of the empty caves. Okay, so we got to vote for 3 and we got to vote for 4. Anybody else? Just arrange the books again for fun. All right, I'm not really sure what we should choose. Got 4. You know, I could do my own vote. I could roll a 4-sided die and see if it changes the odds. 4. Okay, so I got a 4. I guess that goes with Jacer. So I think we're gonna pick Cave 4, so option 4. All right. And here's the combat. Okay, you and your companion dismount from your faithful horses and approach the 4th cave in the Dragon's Hill. There appears to be a doorway of sorts, the wizard says. It is likely that Jabara has made this protected cave his home. Slowly, carefully, you reach for the doorway, which is built of a sticky white substance. Your hand grips the soft edge of the door and prepares to pull it open. But before you can pull, the door bursts forward, pushed by a powerful force. A swarm of gigantic hornets. You have invaded their nest. Their angry buzz deafens your ears. Two of the giant insects knock over the wizard and prepare to give him a deadly sting. You reach for the sword of the golden lion, which is ever at your side, but it is tossed from your hand by the furious swipe of a wing of one of the enraged hornets. Two of the creatures fly into you at once and send you sprawling to the hard ground. You realize that one sting from one of these monstrous winged insects will be enough to end your days. Can you fight them off? If you have chosen to bring weapon number 2, the battle axe, Morning Star, the flail, turn to 60. Okay, well, I've got the battle axe. All right, so let's go to 60. White Claw this ghost. Well, you never know. You never know, right? Okay, the hornets, as big as vultures, swarm around you and your companion. You feel the warmth of their hairy bodies, the tangy odor of their breath as they buzz by your head, preparing to sting. If you have brought the battle axe, which I have, you may still have a chance to fight for your life against the attacking hornets. To survive, you must kill 3 hornets. If you do so, the others will retreat into their nest. Okay, now here's what they say for combat. Toss a coin 5 times, which I literally did last time. I think this time I'd rather use a die. Each time it comes up tails, you've killed a hornet. If it comes up at least 3 times out of the 5 tosses, you have killed 3 hornets. You have survived. If it does not come up with 3 tails, the hornets have beaten you. Okay, so we get 5 rolls. Okay, so what we're going to say, here's how I'm going to do it. Just got our dice rolling box here. What we're going to say is that heads are any even number is heads, odd numbers is tails. And just roll a RPG die, so it's D6. Okay, so we got 5 rolls. We've got to get at least three odd numbers. Okay. Okay, so this is 1. Okay, so we got an odd number, so that's 1 kill. So we got 2 left. That's a 6. Okay, we failed. That's a 1. Okay, so we've killed 2 of them. 1 left. That's a 5. Okay, we killed another one. And just for fun, we'll roll the last time. 2. So that would have been a fail. Okay, so this time we succeeded. Last time we failed to kill enough of them to survive. I think we only killed 2. So this time we killed all 3 hornets. Alright, so we can proceed. The cover on this book is torn. It's kind of annoying me. Because with these books, you tend to like flip the pages. When we played as kids, we would like flip the pages, so the cover would just get really beat up. Versus like turning the pages like you would a normal book, because you're flipping a lot. These are all soft cover. Okay, so you survive. Turn to 67. And the thing is, if you play this too much, eventually you just memorize it, and it's no challenge. So that's why you get other books. You kill the last hornet and toss its bloodied carcass down the hill. The wizard is at your side now, as the rest of the giant hornets retreat far into their cave. You and your companion are both shaken, exhausted from your battle against these monstrous insects. Perhaps Jabara has defeated us this time, you suggest to the wizard. I do not believe we are strong enough to face that ancient dragon in his own home now. The wizard agrees. There are other paths that lead to the dragon riders who destroyed our crops and threaten our freedom, he says. Let us return to the castle and follow the path the dragon riders have left in our forest. You agree. Jabara could defeat you easily in your worn condition. The trip back will give you time to steady your mind and refresh your aching muscles. Then you will follow the path of destruction left by the evil dragon riders. You begin to follow that path by turning to page 32. Wait a second. Is this one of those loops? I think we might have just done the wrong choice. Okay, so we're following the trail of destruction. Yep. This is where, we do the forgetfulness comes upon us, and then we don't know where we are. You have to face the ancient Jabara. Well, darn. So apparently Cave 4 is wrong. So if we play again, it's like, all right, not Cave 4. All right, guys. Well, I think we're just going to end a little early. That is a good place to stop. So that was Wizards, Warriors, and you. At least we didn't die this time. But we didn't accomplish our mission. So just have to start again. It would be interesting to play as the wizard. I think the way these books are written, though, you can win as either guy. Like, it isn't just, the wizard is the one you have to play this time. It's supposed to be they have an equal chance. But the wizard has all his spells, so it's like completely different. Whereas the wizard has, the warrior has all his weapons. It's 100 pages. So compare that to Star Wars. It's like 118 pages, but it's mostly reading. This is fun. This is cool, but I think this is definitely for younger kids. This, Wizards, Warriors, and You, again, I have a lot of nostalgia for this because I read it back in the day. But I like the attempt to give you more stuff to do in the book. And, there's definitely a thicker description. The enjoyment of this is the detail. You can tell the author is really getting into it, whereas this relies on your, positive feelings about the Star Wars movie and your desire to be in it. So, but yeah, all these different series is, Choose Your Own Adventure, that term is copyrighted, and I guess they are trademarked, and I guess they went after some, was it Black Mirror? Like they were going to sue them because they used the term. It's like, come on, guys. But they were very protective of it. But yeah, if you say Choose Your Own Adventure, everybody knows what you mean, because that was the most popular series in the 80s and 90s. But you have Twist a Plot, you've got Which Way books, you've got Find Your Fate, Wizards, Warriors, and You, Way of the Tiger, Lone Wolf. There's a lot of like standalone books. Let's see what else. Pick a Path. There was a Chronicles of Narnia series. West End Games had a couple of Star Wars books. There was Star Trek. There was Dungeons and Dragons. There was Space Ace. There was Micro Adventure. That one actually had like basic programming. Professor Q's Mystery Machine. There was Doctor Who ones. There was Time Machine. That was a great series. There's some historical ones. I've got one on the Civil War, which could be interesting. And that was a more recent one. But yeah, lots of books use that convention. And to different degrees, they have success. A lot of them tried to be educational. It's like, okay, you're going back in time or visiting some far off country. There was a lot of sci-fi ones, but a lot of mysteries, thrillers. But you had Way of the Tiger, which was really gruesome, but it was like, yeah, I want to be a cool ninja, fighting and assassinating bad guys and stuff. So all kinds of stuff. But yeah, you could tell some of the books were aimed at like younger kids. They tended to have this format, this wider book with like larger print and a lot more reading and fewer choices, fewer endings. And then you had these, which were a little for older kids, and then these, and it goes up and up to all the way up to like Lone Wolf or Greystar the Wizard, so World of Lone Wolf, and Highway Warrior. I never got to see those, but there was a bunch of different ones where it was basically like a full-fledged RPG. You had a character sheet. You didn't necessarily have dice. You could have D6s, but like number charts and things like that. So the Narnia books had a lot of stuff you're supposed to like write in the book. There was like charts and maps and stuff. Anyway, when we have more time, I'd like to do some of those. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. So tomorrow, the plan is to do our regular Hero Quest, 6 to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. In the morning, we'll be doing a Covert Nerd podcast, but I don't think that'll be public. I think that'll just be recorded, and then whenever Lee over at covertnerd.com, is it .com? Let me check. don't want to tell you the wrong thing. Covertnerd.net, excuse me. Covertnerd.net. He'll be doing another HeroQuest program. And basically what I'll be doing is, I mean, if anybody does anybody have anything that they want me to say on the podcast with Covert Nerd? I mean, let me know. Let me know in the Discord or in the chat. So he basically gave me a list of like questions to just kind of get me thinking, and then we can always add more stuff. But I mean, they were pretty basic stuff, basic questions. Let me go through them with you real quick. Because I mean, obviously I'm going to give my opinion, but if there's something you want me to mention, because I know it's not all about me. Okay, so he was just saying with the newness of the release of the new HeroQuest kind of settling, has your opinion changed on the new release? And if so, how has it changed? What do you love about HeroQuest when you originally played it? Is it the same now? How do you create your own quests? Any tips, stories about quest creation? What's a homebrew idea or project that impressed you the most? That's a big question. Best house rule, favorite hero or monster, favorite official quest, best combat dice roll. It's a couple funny ones here. I won't spoil all of it, but he was wanting to know my predictions on how long I think the new HeroQuest will be in production. What expansions do I think will be released, and then what would I want to see? And then here's the big question everybody's asking. What do you think about the Mythic tier? Is it going to be released to the public? And actually, I've seen a lot of buzz about this lately. And I feel like, once again, and Carmine buzzing around, trying to get our opinions and sort of sowing the seeds of discussion. I feel like they are teasing heavily that maybe we're going to be getting the Mythic tier in some form or another. Someone was saying in Discord that like retailers were ordering extra copies. Of course, I don't know where they're getting these copies from. If these are like unsold copies or ones that like scalpers have been circulating, or because I guess people could sell them to anybody they want to. But I didn't think they were making any new ones. My theory is, would you thank him for making a great game? Remember playing with my dad? Well, that's a good thought, Freelancer. Yeah. The thing is, thank him. So Covert Nerd, we're just a couple of fans talking, and Carmine is he's a lead designer over at Hasbro. So yeah, I'll thank him for you. And if you see him on the Discord, you can thank him yourself. I mean, as he's said before, like these games are not just a one-man thing. It's not just one guy doing it all. Obviously, you have all these different roles. You got the people that do the designs of the miniatures. You got the people who write the quests. You got the people who design the artwork. You've got the people who put everything together, the play testers, people who design the boxes and everything, and all the different components. And then you've got like all the people that work on the assembly line, people that make they do the sculptures for the miniatures, and then they do the tests and everything. I forget all the technical names, but there's all these processes from prototyping to final with board games, and it takes longer than like making a video game, because obviously you got to have like a physical thing to do and then box it up in the factory and distribute it. And then you got to have people online that are sending out the press releases, listening to feedback, going to the conventions, getting people riled up. But yeah, it is a great game. And Stephen Baker is always credited as the guy for HeroQuest. But my impression is he was the guy that came up with the initial designs. But again, he wasn't alone. You had Games Workshop doing the miniatures. Without them, would the game have had as much appeal as it did? I don't think so. I think that was a big part of its success initially back in 89, 90, 91. And you had Gary Chalk with all the artwork from Warhammer. I mean, a lot of it was just, it wasn't made specifically for the game, but it was taken from other sources. But some of it was original. I don't remember seeing it anywhere else. So, yeah, HeroQuest is a great game. I love it. And the thing is, it's so versatile, because if you don't like something about the game, you can easily change it yourself. Really easily. And you can spend a whole bunch of money if you want, but you don't have to. Unlike some of these other games where there's a lot more pressure to like buy. Just keep buying more and more stuff. And yeah, you can paint the stuff if you want to, but you don't have to. But yeah, a lot of good memories. And the thing is, like over in Covert Nerd, like he's always looking for people to interview to just share your stories, to share your memories about the game. And I enjoy talking about it. But I know my experience isn't the same as everyone's. Everyone's got like different stories. So be happy to share what you guys have to say. But yeah, if you think of anything else, go ahead and share it in the Discord in the general chat. Like I said, I will be doing the interview like early tomorrow morning, so there won't be a whole lot of time to like think about it. But I pretty much know what I'm gonna say. I just figured if you guys had something that you wanted me to like say, you know, insert your voice into the into the experience, I'd be happy to pass that along. But yeah, all right. Okay, well, thanks everybody for joining us here on HeroQuest Fans. Again, we're just wrapping up just a little bit early. Sorry we got started late with the technical issues. Yep. All right, let me just copy and paste the link. I know the link is on the screen, but just to make it even easier, I'm gonna just copy and paste it here. And I gotta hit the road here shortly. Got a couple of things to do. But yeah, I'll be painting some miniatures tonight. And like I said, it won't be on a stream, but shout out to Gareth Rydmar. Cool guy. He's got a really cool channel of painting. He's got an epic beard, so definitely check him out. Gareth _ HREIDMAR on Twitch. Always enjoy hanging out with him and his painting advice. A lot of good painting channels. So Wicked _ Mini _ Painting is another one that I listen to a lot. And then PSK, so P _ S _ K _ Studio. And he's a really cool guy. He stops by occasionally. More of a D&D player, but he's definitely played with us before, and we've had a great time. And of course, The Strange Bus. Always respect him and his time and his channel and his advice. And in fact, I think he sent me a message. Let me just double check what he was saying. He had to get going. Well, thanks for joining us, Strange Bus. Appreciate it. Appreciate your feedback. And of course, Jason J has Warbuilder 22J on YouTube, which is cool to check out. HeroQuest Battle Masters and other tabletop cool stuff that he does. Let's see, who else do we have here? Elviler, of course, maker of awesome overlays, and Elviler's Game Corner, great website, elviler.com. We've got Beef Supreme TV, welcome. Freelancer 117, thanks for joining us, of course. Valentina Alcarez hasn't really said much, but thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Appreciate the follow, everybody who follows and subs. So we've actually gotten quite a few. I mean, we're just growing by leaps and bounds. So we've got 134 followers. I never thought we'd get that many. Like, that's a lot to me. I mean, I remember at one time there were bots that were just spamming us, and it was like, oh man, because we had to ban the bots. We had to block them because they were like fake subs. So we had to just get rid of those guys. It was like, oh man, we're never going to get that high, because I think it boosted us all the way up to 120. And I had to like message Twitch and be like, listen, we got botted. This is not real. Like, I'm banning them as fast as I can, but just those are fake. But now we've surpassed that legit. And every time people join, I always check. It's like, are you a bot or not? Like, make sure this is all real, all above board. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for your support. And we've got 5 subscribers, which is awesome. 5 sub points. And I know a lot of people are just taking their Amazon Prime and their Prime Gaming and using that to like give it to us for a month. But I appreciate that. I mean, you could give it to someone else, but you decide to give it to us. Appreciate it. So yeah, keep up the support. And I mean, it's not all about me, of course. There's a lot of other great channels out there. And other HeroQuest fans. You know, we've got our Discord, but there's Mentor Study. There's Avalon Hill has their own now. Of course, it's not a fan one; it's an official. But there's a couple other HeroQuest Discords. I think there's one that's just called HeroQuest, and those are the tabletop simulator people. Azure Megid hangs out there a lot. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there. And I think as fans, I think if we hang together, if we just maintain that spirit of creativity and fellowship, I mean, we've all got all these different ideas, but we're tolerant of each other's differences. Like, it's like, okay, you like to play the game this way, I like to play the game this way, but we're both fans. It's all cool. There's none of this gatekeeping or toxicity that people complain about. I really don't think it's anything like that. And all the drama that plagues a lot of big communities, I think we've managed to avoid it for the most part. I mean, if you dig back into the archives, you can find people fighting about HeroQuest, just like about anything else. But I think it has more to do with just people's personalities clashing than anything. It's not about the game. We're not fighting about the game. It's just everybody wants to have a good time. Everybody wants what's best for the franchise, and we have our differences, but the game is so versatile that you can easily make it your own, and that's a big strength of it. So HeroQuest will live on whether Hasbro supports us or not. That's the bottom line, and I love it. So yeah. All right. Okay, well, thanks everybody for joining us in HeroQuest fans. Next Friday, I'm not sure if we'll do more game book stuff, I guess if we're feeling it. I haven't seen a lot of HeroQuest news lately, so that's kind of why we've been doing this. But I've been wanting to do this for a while. And I mean, we did the HeroQuest game books, but there's so many other game books to enjoy. So all right, everybody have a great night, and we'll hopefully see some of you tomorrow when we play HeroQuest live. All right, that's it. Oh, 6 to 10 p.m. 6 to 10 p.m. Central. HeroQuest live on Twitch Saturdays. Yeah, it's almost every Saturday. And the thing is, if I have to cancel it or go on vacation or whatever, I'll let you know. Like, you can actually view the schedule. If you go to twitch.tv/HeroQuestFans, just click on schedule and you can see my little calendar. And I'll put on there on vacation or skip the stream, like if we have to cancel it for some reason. Because I do respect everybody's time. I mean, I hate to have you come here and be disappointed, like, oh, he's not having it tonight. If I'm late, chances are it's just because of technical issues. Excuse me, like we had tonight. But we got it working. It's all good. Amsterdam time. Yeah, you'll have to check. You can actually check your time zone. So the central time zone is what I'm in. I don't know. You'll have to go online and look. Check your chronometer. But yeah, thanks Freelancer. I know everybody's got a different schedule, so if you can't make it, you can't make it. Watch us on the VOD, video on demand, or catch us on YouTube 24 to 48 hours after it airs. We'll post it up there. But yeah. All right. Thanks again. Everybody have a great night. Oh, and should we raid somebody? I think we should, but the problem is I don't think anybody on my list is actually online. Otherwise, I'd say let's raid somebody. Let me just double check that. Yeah, nobody online to raid. Sorry. But yeah, support your local Twitch streamer. Keeping the flame alive for good streaming. All right. Good night, everybody.